Hello, everybody. Welcome here today. It's a Wednesday, wherever you are in your world, if it's morning or afternoon or evening. I hope you've had a good week so far. Um, we always talk about weather, and I'm always interested to know what's going on in your world. It's some crazy weather around here, too. But no matter the weather, and it's exterior weather, but there's also our emotional weather. And so I'm wondering today, as you join and you hop on and you think about what we're going to talk about today, what what is your emotional climate at the moment? Has it been? It's always good to kind of take a little deeper look, an inner look, to just take the pulse of where we are energetically and who we're interacting with and how we interact with ourselves and our animals that are constantly emotionally regulating us. They're keeping us present and grounded in our bodies just by being who they are. And, I'm thinking about the various ways they do that now that I'm mentioning it. And I think, if you look into an animal's eyes, I think it can ground you tremendously. That's a biggie. But also, if you're distracted and you look over and they're doing something cute or they're wagging their tail, like they appear asleep, but then you look at them and they open their eyes and they start thumping their tail a little bit, or purring, or chirping. No matter what it is, they're always on the job, it seems, with us and our sensitivity to them. I think, they teach us sensitivity, actually. They teach us how to be present with life, but with ourselves as well. And as you come into the room, I'm so glad to see you there. Marge, good to see you, and Claire. I'm glad it's sunny. It's sunny here as well too. Um, Last week I was out on my bike, hoping to see some bears, and all of a sudden a storm came up, and all of a sudden this hail started coming down. So there I was in the middle of a bike ride, getting pelted with this like tremendous hailstorm out of nowhere. And so I learned very quickly that hail comes down really hard. And all I needed to do, because I couldn't get any real, there wasn't any cover with trees, it's just forge ahead till I got back home. And I passed cars, but the hail was covering the roads like golf balls. So, and then here's the thing, just as soon as it came, it stopped, and the sun came out, and all this, beauty, and it was so clear. So I don't know if you've been experiencing or taking a look at how things are changing in the world, but it's always, it's kind of good for us to take a look around and notice, is the weather's changing, certainly, but is nature changing in your world? Have you noticed any even slight differences? Are flowers coming up? And do the animals shift gears in the seasons? Do your animals shift? Do you notice anything different in what they were doing? Deanna said, "Oh, the puppies hate getting caught in hailstorms." Yeah, yeah, I can feel their pain. I literally had bruises all over. And Marge said, Ferguson is trying to tell me something, but just don't know what. Is he telling you anything? Well, Marge, I think it's a little, not necessarily, number one, and you'd have to give it a little bit more context, number two. And I'd also back this question up to say, well, how do you know you think he's asking you a question? What makes you think that? Hi, Andrea. Oh, it's good to see you, and great you're here. Oh, I see how my Minnie helped to me. It's so hard on my own without her. That pure love. Ah, you know, that's the thing. I think we feel like we've lost that love and we don't have access to it. But what we really have is this deeper connection that we were developing when they were here with us. And that's where that connection lives, in your heart. So, Andrea, as we talk about today, and you kind of see, her Minnie's purpose and everything, I think that's going to help also put connections, because that's what we're all about, right? Animals are all about connecting us to life, to ourselves, to what really matters most. Barb, my cat changes when he sleeps season to season. Well, that's interesting. What does that look like, Barb? Hi, Kimberly. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Claire says we had lots of awful mountain fires affecting our wildlife. It's really across the world, isn't it? All this very different extremes, I guess. Jennifer, I'm just tuning in. Well, Jennifer, I was going to email you and check on you because you have been dropping in, and I'm wondering if there's any news on the front of a newbie coming into your life. So yeah, I'm really glad to see you. So now you can update us all. So, have any of you ever wondered? It's something I've learned to really watch because of all the animals I've lived with and that have come to me all of my life and over the years. Have you ever wondered why they came into your life when they did? Or maybe you're just now hearing this and thinking about it, and if they passed, like Andrea, have you wondered why they left when they did? I'm here to tell you it's no coincidence. It is no coincidence that, our pets arrive at exactly the right moment in time, and they leave actually when their purpose is completed. They have, fulfilled it for us and for them. When there's a death and they cross over, I always tell people, guess what? You cross over too. We're in new territory. We're in this soul growth piece of who am I now and what does this look like? And then we're also doing the kind of afterlife review of what they meant in our lives. So, everything is connected. There's nothing that's random. And I want you to think about this for a minute. I do have a question, as I usually do for you. How many connections have you noticed in your life so far, with people or with animals? Or let's say you randomly got a job or had an idea to go do something. What connections have you seen? And have you seen any with your pets? I'd love to hear in the comments, because when we start kind of getting curious about life and backing up and saying, I wonder, let me take a look at my life when my pet came in. Jennifer might be looking at, when did Pudge come in? And, of course, when did he leave? And what was going on? And, when they pass, they know there's a soul knowing. There's a deeper, beyond logic knowing of what our next piece of growth is, and that we have completed something, even though we might not know that we have. Claire says it's a worldwide life connection. It never ends. Claire, what in your week have you seen as connections going on? I'd be curious for all of you. And Susan says, in reference to the weather changes with our animals, Jay used to get really strange as spring came, super hyper. Susan, why do you think that is? Because, we can learn a lot from the animals. We can certainly kind of pay attention when they're behaving a little differently. And so if we're all connected and we're connected to life, then even the smallest details that appear random always fit into some kind of order, if that makes sense. There's order in the chaos of what it looks like. Andrea, this is a place. She said, thank you so much for your compassion. Isn't that what animals help us reach in ourselves, that part of us that truly cares, and our hearts open, and our empathy comes through. I know all of you that are here and are watching, your empaths. And are your animals? Do you think your animals are empaths too? I would think so, definitely. Um, Susan says it happened every April. Interesting. Hi, Susie. So good to see you too. I always appreciate everybody who comes and afterwards when you're watching the replay, because this is a live energy we create. And what we're doing is we're actually dropping down into a deeper discussion, and a deeper kind of, as you look into your own life and go, I always thought that they just, randomly happened that I saw that. So I'm still going to encourage you throughout the show to think about it. What connections have you seen? What have you noticed this week? Because, you all want to connect with your animals, right? Deeper. And to the question, Marge, what do you think he's saying? Well, take a deeper look into that and ask why you think, like, what did I notice that is urging me to ask that question? Because there's something you've noticed. And animal communication 101, actually it's people communication too, just saying, is how much, what quality of attention you have at any given time. It's that deeper sense of watching from a different viewpoint, even as you're relating. So I want you to feel right now. So every time I ask you a question, I want you to circle back. What's your quality of attention right now? What would you say? Are you multitasking? Do you feel yourself present? Is your animal with you? What's going on in your world at the moment? It's all about being very, very aware of what you're feeling, what you're seeing, and basically your point of view. What filter are you looking through? Is it the filter of, and the heart doesn't really have filters. It doesn't. If you're guarded, it has a few little blocks ahead of it. But truly, heart perception is a very clear seeing, put it that way. Claire says, my connection has been with my dog on his walk, the birds that around us, the sea and its energy, random strangers that on the day were helping each other. It's a beautiful smile on people's faces. That is beautiful. The more we pay attention to connections, that's actually a practice of gratitude. We all are told you need to practice gratitude. That's it right there. It's a very natural way of doing it. Claire says it's all connected us in joy and compassion. And Clara, as you've studied, as you've observed the things you listed, were there any feelings associated every time? For instance, on the walk, what was your energy doing then? The birds, did any energy drop in? Did any emotion? The sea and its energy, can you describe that a little more? The random strangers, because always notice what you notice, and you're being guided to open your perception. So spirit works with us in daily lives. You don't have to go somewhere to find it. It's within the interaction of what you're doing. And Deanna says, in hindsight, I can see the threads of spirit guiding everything that happened around the Buster situation. And I think he was very aware from the start of the day. Deanna, for those of you watching, has just stepped forward for Buster. And I think the clarity that dropped in this week is because she actually had space to see. So, here's another animal community. Let me pick up Poppy here, who was asking to be picked up and be part of the show. So, one of the other animal communication, easy is to, I always say, put yourself in the timeout chair. When you're so busy during the day, take a minute and go, oh God, I feel racy. I'm not even connected to myself. Make yourself sit down. I learned this in my life years and years ago when I was having a lot of animals. I had a lot going on, and I noticed in myself this kind of racy feeling. And I never really slowed down. I was always really good about moving and doing. And I don't know where the idea dropped in, except like, Tami, you need to, reboot here. So I sat down, and what I noticed, I know this sounds simple and like, oh yeah, right, Tami, sit down. But I promise you, it changes the chemistry in your body and your brain. So I sat down, and what I noticed was just a relief. Just first of all, just a relief. So I gave myself permission to slow down. And I think, Deanna, you gave yourself permission to slow down. And when we slow down, we can see things that were there, but we were racing by them. And that, I would say, includes the pieces of the animals coming into your life and what their sole purpose was in your life and is. And Andrea says, she was my escape. That's Minnie, right? From bad things in my life. With her, I felt so loved like I never in my life. And the beauty of that, Andrea, is you actually still have that. That is anchored within your heart. And Susie says, my poor Stella is so connected to me. She's my angel. Bella sent her to me after she passed. It is an animal network, I am telling you. I was away from home traveling for a week. She was so depressed while I was away. She even stopped eating. Oh no, what more can I do for her when I need to travel? Well, isn't it, that's always really hard. Susie, did you talk to her about it ahead of time? Tell her where you were going, tell her when you'd be back, and maybe the reason for your trip. And, while you were away, I know you must have been apprised that she wasn't eating, but you can also use use heart telepathy with them when you're not there, and you're doing it anyway when you're with them. We just don't really think of it like that. Your heart naturally activates right when they're around. Well, you can activate, just like Andrea, you can activate that love in your heart at any time. It's yours to keep. It's eternal, not going anywhere. Can't chase it away. And so I would definitely tell her, because I'm feeling she needs to hear it. And even if you've told her, she needs to hear it more than once. And I'm wondering if you leave something special for her. I know she's in her surroundings probably, right? So there's something about leaving something with her of yours and making sure she knows she's going to be back. Yeah, I think, Susie, what I'd also consider with her is, first of all, do the heart telepathy while you're gone. Connect your heart to hers. Use that, I would call it a golden cord of connection, where you step into your heart space and you really, really amp up that love. And again, you can do this for pets that have passed, and then see that, like growing and expanding in your heart space, and then see it reaching hers. And as it reaches hers, see her heart space start to open up and have that beautiful golden, shimmery color, and then have that flow back and forth. And that's just a general good practice anytime. But the good thing is if you practice it now, then when you're away, you've already got that kind of live connection going that you both acknowledged. So I would try that. And then the other thing I would do is consider flower essences for her. And if none of you have heard me say this, I've talked about them for years. I've used them for years with my animals, and they are amazing. But I would look up Green Hope Farm essences. They're in New Hampshire, and we may have already talked about that, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of, and Susie, with the, her struggling, did you have any anxiety upon leaving? Like now when you leave, do you get anxious? So there's that reciprocal mirroring and flowing back and forth. And then if you take it a step further, what is this situation speaking to me about? What is it trying to show me? What is she trying to show me? And that's all part of the beautiful soul pieces that they help us with when they are here, and we usually can see much easier after they pass. But hopefully the more you all connect on these lives and the more you learn about the animals, you learn about yourselves, you can do it now and you don't have to wait. It's always good to practice that connection piece, and consciously while we're with each other, because then if we are separated, then we already have that flow going. But it's a really beautiful practice. And if you want to put yourself in timeout and do that, oh my gosh, you watch how your energy will shift immediately, and it will cause hers to shift as well, because I'm seeing her reach out to you. So she just needs extra kind of reassurance to know that she's okay on her own, that you're actually with her and you haven't left. So today, I want to bring up that piece of, think about, when your animal came in, when they left, if they did, what was going on in your life, and even if they're still here, have you, wondered or started to stumble on, oh, I know what this soul lesson's about, or I know why you came into my life, and I know what to do about this. I know I can grow in ways that the Spirit is trying to show me by just being aware. So with that, I've got an amazing guest today, and I can't wait for you to meet her. Her name is Katina, and she has a really special story to share about her dog, Marley. So, Katina, if you would jump on, I'd like to introduce you, and it's good to see you. There you are.
Good to see you. Hi, Tami.
Hi.
Hi, everyone in the chat.
It's so, we all are animal lovers here, and it's always good to sit and kind of do this roundtable discussion of like, well, what did you see and what do you know now? And did you know it when they, when Marley came in? And so is that a pillow with her photo?
It is.
Can you show it to us?
Yes, my Marley has since 2 months. It's fresh. She passed away.
Oh, she's quite beautiful. What age was she
She
at that
was
photo?
14 years old.
When you took that photo?
Yes.
It's beautiful. It carries. Let's see that again. I want to see it again. Okay, everybody, put on your intuitive caps. And what do you pick up from this? Because this is a deep soul here, an old soul, and she's communicating very much. In fact, I hear she has messages, which is what she mentioned when we had our session. Is I have messages to share. So thank you for showing us that, and tell us about her. How did she come into your life?
Marley came into my life in
Oh,
2011. I was, oh, yeah, there she is. That's how she was. Well, that's a couple of months after. But she was a tiny little thing. I was working in Greece. I was manager of a spa hotel on the island of Greece. And one day I was working, I would work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And, 6 months had passed, and I was doing it 7 days a week. And at that point, that particular day that I found Marley, I wasn't feeling well. So I said, okay, I have to leave, guys. I can't finish my day. And so I
was
left.
that unusual for you to do?
Yes. It was the
Yeah,
first time.
you worked long hours, right?
Yes, yes. The first time in 6 months, but I just couldn't do it. At that point, I was feeling ill and I needed some rest and time for myself. So I left work early. It was probably about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And I was heading home, and I took a rural road. Normally, I go through the city part of it, but that particular day, I wasn't in the mood for traffic. I just kind of wanted a scenic route, and I went that way. And as I was driving along, there's like farm, it's kind of farmland and a couple little houses over on the left side. Right side was all farm. And I dropped something in my car, a pen that I had. Well, it rolled under my feet. So I pulled over to the side, in the grassy area. And there was a abandoned village boat, because they're not boats like we have here. They're little village boats, kind of
Oh,
European boats. And so I pulled over there, and I, bent down to get the pen that I dropped. And when I, lifted my head up, from the corner of my eye, I could see something move over by the abandoned boat. And I thought, what the heck is that? So I just kind of sat there for a minute. And I was in no hurry. So I just stayed there for a second. And all of a sudden, this little puppy pops out. And so I said, oh my goodness, a little puppy. And I was so happy. And it just kind of brightened up my day. And I got out and to see if I could help her. And I looked around to see if there's anybody, anyone looking for her, where she might have come from. And I couldn't find anything. So I thought, okay, the best thing for me is to just take her with me and we'll figure it out. And so I take her and I, pick her up and I put her in the car with me. And I had a manual at that time. There in Europe, you have manual stick shifts. So I put her in the seat next to me. And I kind of rubbed her and told her, okay, little one, we're going home now. It will be okay. We'll get you food and taken care of and shelter. So, we're driving along and she was scared. I could tell, so I was just trying to nurture her on the way. Well, finally we get home. I kind of lived about a half hour away and I live up on a mountain. So we had to go up that way and get to the mountain. And we finally get home. And my intention was not to keep Marley. So, I
so
really
let
was,
me get you to pause right here because I
yeah.
want you to not detail, but just share.
Mhm,
Let's drop into the story so far just a little
mhm,
bit more. So you were working long hours. You were pretty burned out, right?
mhm, mhm.
You were feeling a lack of just life energy, right?
I really was.
Kind of
Yeah.
a disillusionment, would you say?
Yes,
And
definitely.
you had noticed it before, but it was getting stronger and stronger, right?
Right. Yes.
And so, as things would have it, you didn't feel well, so you did what you normally never would do, is just say,
Mhm.
I can't be here and I need to go. And it's almost like you were listening to this inner beacon, this inner homing signal, which is good for all of us to kind of like hear how you did it, excuse me, and what that looks like. And so you get in your car, you take the rural road, and then you accidentally drop your pen. It's not like you threw it to the floor deliberately.
Mhm.
Drop it, it's under your foot. So then you pull over and you grab the pen, and then when you pop up, you happen to see this little puppy pop
Right.
up.
Right.
That was an angel drop. That was like, it's like a drop straight down. And so I can almost see you looking left and right and like, all right, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Tell me what and you're doing it now. Tell me what your energy did when you saw this puppy. Immediately, what happened to your emotion?
Immediately, I felt a happiness.
It came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
right?
Whatever I was feeling just kind of went away. The ill feeling, or, it didn't matter anymore. I just kind of I forgot about it. And I was all about this little puppy that just popped into my life.
Yes, what I'm feeling from you is that it caused your heart frequency, which
Mhm.
was kind of dangerously low, I'm hearing at the time.
I
You
would
like,
think.
yeah, you had to have some spirit intervention there because you were not going to be able to continue. I think we lost her, but I'll keep talking. She wasn't able to continue. There you are, in the way you were. And that's what happens a lot of times when we're at a crossroads, even before we know it consciously. Spirit and the animals know it, and their souls come in at just like the 11th hour, just the perfect time, even though we may not know it's the 11th hour, right? So from that point
The
on, can
right
you hear
time.
me? Are you there? You can hear me? Okay, okay. Um, so from that point on, you get her home, you're not going to keep her. And didn't you end up giving her away?
I did. I gave her to my friend Theo.
Mhm.
came over, and he was my neighbor friend, but you know, I worked so many, long hours. I didn't really know what to do with Marley. And so she stayed with me a couple days, of course. We fell in
How
love.
did you feel during those couple of days?
Oh, I fell in love with her. I was so in love, and I had something to look after and nurture and love, and she gave me love in return. It was beautiful. But at that point, I thought, for Marley's well being, what am I going to do? Because I was already in love with her. I wanted the best thing for her. So that's where my friend Theo came into play, and he came over and saw her, and he kind of fell in love with her too. And he was a lifeguard. So, he would take Marley around with him through the beaches and things, and they would have fun. But Marley went to live with Theo for a couple of days.
How did
Well,
you feel after that?
I was sad.
Yeah, I'm feeling like your heart dropped a little bit.
It did. I was so sad when she left me.
Yeah. And so fast forward to only a few days passed, right?
Few days, and then the neighborhood children came to me, and they said, little ones, 5, 6, because they would come over every day after work and hang out with me anyway. But when Marley came along, they loved it, so they came and said, Katina, the Theo's mom is mistreating her. And so I said, oh goodness. So I called Theo and I said, hey Theo, can you bring Marley, so I can see her? I kind of miss her. I would like to see her. And he said yes. So he brought her to me that evening, and I took her inside. I said, I'm going to get her a treat and we'll be right back. So we went inside. I closed the door. And he said, Katina, what are you doing? What are you doing? He started banging on my door. I said, your mother's mistreating her. I can't allow that. I said, I gave her to you, for the good, for her benefit. And I don't like what I hear. And he agreed with me. And he said, you're right. You keep her because that's the best thing for her, because he loved her too.
But it's interesting how our mind steps in, and this is something good for all of you to notice in yourselves. Are you operating from, logic or your mind, which is fine if it's needed, right? And we use that. But also with animals, it's so heart guided. And so she literally she boomeranged right back to you.
Yes.
And so again, and I'm appreciative of your helping kind of like illuminate this. When she came back, when were you clear? When you heard she was being mistreated, or when she actually got back into your arms?
Clear.
When did that clarity drop in?
Clarity of that she was going to be with me.
Yep.
I was clear at that time when she came back to me from Theo.
So do you think the seed was placed when you heard from the children?
Yes, I believe so, but it still wasn't clear at that time for me. Okay, there's another it's adventure that happened that I didn't tell you and I forgot.
Things get clear when they're clear, and they can't get clear a moment before they're clear.
Right.
And we always try to see beyond what it was. But I know in my life, I've learned that time and time again. And Spirit said we get shown what we need to see exactly when we need to see it. Just like the whole script of you able to find her in the way you did is just, you can't even write that script. If we would write it, this would be this like great story of, somebody who is just losing zest for life and kind of disillusioned. And then, they send in the reinforcements, and then you immediately, your energy goes wide open. How many of you who are watching have had that same kind of switch in your energy, something that has brought you great, great joy? And so if you can tell us a little bit about this photo. How old is she then? Do you see it?
Marley is about 4 years old. They're 3, 4 years old. And this is after we made it to America.
Okay, so you left Greece, came to America. How long were you in Greece with her before you guys left?
We were in Greece probably about 6 months.
Okay.
I think from the time that I found her till we left. Maybe It might have been 3 months because we were together, and my friend Ana Maria came from Athens to help me because I couldn't take care of Marley. So she stepped in and helped me raise Marley. But in the meantime, while she was there, I had a call from family in the United States. We had a family emergency, so I needed to return. And so when I got the call, I said, okay, so I have to get back to Athens because I need to get Marley's paperwork, vet
Right.
everything,
Details.
go to the embassy, the US embassy, the Greek embassy, get all her stuff together. And so, we all got on a plane, Marley, Anna, and I, and we had to go from the island to another island, and then from that island to Athens. And so from the island, though, to the other island that we had to get to, it was 15 minutes, right? Plane ride.
Uh-huh.
So when we get to that other island, Marley, they wouldn't let her fly with me in the cabin. So she had to go back to where the luggage.
Right.
Cargo, thank you. And so we get off the plane, 15 minutes, just 15 minutes. She comes out of the cargo plane. We open up her little carrier, and Marley is lifeless, literally just, laying in my arms, almost dead. So we sprint, in Greece, you are on a tarmac. So you don't, get right up into the building. So we had to run, and we ran into the bathroom. We put her right under cold water. Some other people saw what was happening and brought ice, and we put her in there in the cold water. So I guess she was probably dehydrated at that
Did
time.
that bring her back to life?
And that brought her back to life, yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
What did that mean? Like the adventure upon, twist and turn.
It really is.
Yeah. And
Short
so
version,
now that she came into your life, your whole life is changing.
Right.
And, you get to the States, and do you feel like you were becoming an entirely different person with her?
I was an entirely different person with her.
So I share something with the group that I think is really important. Hadn't you made a decision, like you had made a request of the universe that by the time you were 35?
Mm-hmm. I often said as a older teenager, young adult, that by the time I'm 35, if I don't have any children, and if I'm not married, don't have a child, that I would return to Greece and I would adopt a little girl. And so, yes, and my 35 years of age came to be, and I was in Greece at the time, and I found my little girl. She just was a four-legged little girl.
But you can look at that photo, and is she not a girly girl? Like she is, yeah, totally. So again, you're helping everybody know that sometimes we put out, a lot of times, heart callings, and take them seriously. We can feel it in our hearts, but we don't realize that literally is a calling out to spirit. And, that was answered. It was just, that's a beautiful way to illustrate how spirit does work and how your heart's desires actually do get answered in the best of ways. So when you're in the States, how long, like when that was that chapter, how long has that lasted?
The States until now, I would say 13 and a half years.
And during that 13 and a half years, what did you two do together as far as growth? Have you thought about that? Like you obviously lived life together, right? And you went through things during that time. What were some major shifts that you think you had while you were with her? What do you notice in yourself that was being developed?
Well, I can tell you that I was a very shy person, independent. I kind of just did my own thing, and I wouldn't go out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And do, I was just kind of, do my own thing and my circle of people, and that was pretty much it. And my family, and that's who I, connected with. But Marley when she came into my life, she took me on a journey as well because she was very active. She was a puppy then, and we had to go out to parks, and, I'd take her out to play every day. And, so we met so many people and other animals. So she brought me out of my comfort zone.
I
Really,
love that because
really,
that's something very specific to you. Now, as all of you are hearing this, think about this in your own lives. What personal shifts did you make? And as a result of this relationship, and, you know, what, what was her like? What do you think that the soul contract was with her? Was she also, you know, getting out into the world and seeing people? And do you
she
feel like,
loved people.
mm,
She loved
it's
people.
like, Mom, it's okay. I can front
Yes.
this for you.
And I still live my life, certain things now that she's passed on. And I notice myself now, I go out and about, and, I kind of try to go to my old ways, and I say no to myself. Marley would want you to be,
Oh my
do a
God,
Marley, shake, shake,
that.
shake, and, you
Yeah,
know, get out
yeah,
there with the people. Then, she never met a stranger that she didn't know.
yes.
So,
Well, and here's the thing with you, you also have that within you. You are very open and warm, and you're like the beacon where people like to hang around your energy. And so you weren't meant, she's saying you weren't meant to hold yourself back. And again, everybody, how many times in your life have you held yourself back out of something that naturally wanted to express within you? And she brought that out in you without you having to force yourself because you were going to do it for her.
mhm.
And it was easier with her energy right there, right? You had kind of a prop
Yes,
to go out.
correct.
Um, what else did you notice in your this soul destiny that you shared with her? What did you get to experience? Did you get to experience being a mom?
I did. And unconditional love. You know,
Yes.
I always wanted children, but just didn't happen for me. So she was my little child, I guess, if you want to, my four-legged child. So
Where,
she taught me how to be a mother,
yes.
to take care of something and to love something and nurture something.
Was
You
that
know,
natural for you?
it was natural. It took me a little, time to get used to it and to figure out what she needed and how to help her. And she had health issues as well along the way.
Mhm.
So, that was a challenge that I had to learn to take care of her through her. She had pancreatitis, so I had to learn how to take care of her spells and
Right, right.
that.
What was, another photo just got popped up. What, when was that taken, and what was the context around this photo? Like, it's a
She,
great, like,
she just had her bath, and I
and what
was
was her
keeping her.
mood?
She didn't like baths very much. She
Yeah,
didn't.
can you
Yeah,
tell?
yeah. So anytime she would come out of the bath, she would shiver, and she wasn't a happy girl. But so I'd wrap her up in her little blankets, and then she would be calm and
I
lay
don't know
down.
about you all love watching and looking at this photo, but looks a little judgy to me. Like, just a
Yeah.
little. And that goes back to any of these photos. And what she told me is I have messages to share. And in so many ways, her very life and how she lived it and how she observed and looked through her eyes. And that's okay. She's now stepping in and taking over this life. Um, she's telling me that for everyone that we need to know is what eyes are we seeing from? Are we seeing from the eyes of the heart, or are we seeing from, the eyes of our, unhappy day personality selves, or our filters that are our judgments? Because it's really important. Oh gosh, she's really going on it, to see things clearly. And so, with you all watching, how many of you? I don't know how many of you feel like you see clearly in every day, or do you have moments where you're clearer than others? I mean, I would pose that to you, Katina. How many times are you super clear all the time, or do you have like times when you wander off into your thoughts and then you come back?
Yes, often.
Yeah, yeah.
That happens to me very often through the day, and then I have to catch myself and bring myself back to the present.
A good practice for any of you watching too is take a photo of your pet. If you need to like splash cold water on your face to get yourself in present bodied awareness, look at your pet. Look at them physically if they're there, and if not, look at a photo.
Mm-hmm.
That there's an energy exchange when we actually engage with the spirit of the animal, because photos, again, I'll say it, are blueprints of the soul. And so we can actually feel into her. We can tell that, as she's just had the bath, she's kind of like giving you the business look, like did that last very long?
No,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
very
She
loving.
recovered quickly.
She really did. Minutes.
Yeah. So again, is for you, do you hang on to bad vibes, or do you move easily from them? Because she just said, she's just giving me this language, by the
Mm-hmm.
way, it's so hysterical. She was saying, I didn't hang on to bad vibes. I let them go through. Is
Mm-hmm.
she wanting you to share? Are you a hanger on her for a minute?
No,
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 you let them go.
I let them go.
And was that something you watched in her and she taught you? Or did you already know that?
I've always been that way.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's really, animals, again, they let emotions move through them very quickly. They just don't seem to hang on to things. And they may be a bit miffed for a minute, but usually that passes through. And then we get the message. She's like, do you get the message? What was this photo taken of, and where?
This photo was taken. My brother actually and his family went to Greece for their vacation, and Marley and I were taking care of Roscoe, my brother's dog, and so this is his home. And Marley is laying on the bed there, relaxing.
And how do you feel like Marley felt about that? Did she like that? Or was she a bit miffed, or what?
I think she would have preferred to have been at home. You know, just she was a creature of habit too.
Right.
This is about a year or two ago. So
Yeah.
when she wasn't in the best of health,
Right.
when her health started to decline. So I
Right.
think just anywhere she would be if it wasn't home.
Claire is saying, I think the script has always been written well before we enter our Earth's journey with each other. Is that the way it felt like with
Yes,
yes,
we were destined to be together.
yes.
Definitely our destiny.
And then, how many of you out there, like Kelly Panzer, do you feel like that your meeting was on purpose? I'm hearing, as I tune in, soul appointment. There was a soul appointment that you had and with Panzer, and this goes for really any of us. It's we make agreements, and I'll show up at this time. You'll show up at this time. Don't miss the meeting. Like
Mhm.
don't we got to be on time. It's this divine timing piece, and even when we step in logically, and we like you said to him, you can have her. I don't. I work too much. See, Spirit was like, oh no. You've got to get the message, and we've got to get the message through her. So and to you. So Marley is all about giving messages and being clear and seeing. She keeps going back to the eyes, seeing very clearly. And so she's you've been through quite the journey. She was 14 when she passed, right?
Mhm.
And it hasn't been that long, right?
2 months.
Yeah, that's new.
Very new.
How have you moved through your grief?
One day at a time, you
Mm,
know. And I try to honor her every day. And I'll go to certain places that we've been together, parks. We were big on parks and car rides every day. And so every day I try to get to a park. And, I wanted to feel the grief. I never wanted to mask it. I felt she deserved it, and she deserved my tears and you know, she deserved that from me. And so I just let myself feel it every day. And every day I'm getting better, one day at a time. There's days I have good days and days I have bad days.
mhm, mhm. That's a beautiful description of how each, we move through grief and how we face grief. What we do with grief. There's a lot of different ways, and usually, an animal's passing. Like, Marge is saying, my life totally changed when she lost Isla.
Hmm.
is a turning point. It's a turning point. And so tell us about the photo of the that we're watching. Is that a little selfie you took?
Yes.
What a sweet picture, Marge
So
says.
cute. I miss her so much. See, I see these pictures and I miss her so much.
Um, everybody that's watching, if you can like jump in here, what do you feel in that photo? What do you see? You're all animal intuitives. What kind of things do you pick up from here? And what do you notice? Because I always say, pay attention to what you notice. Notice what you notice, in other words. And so for you, Katina, while they're thinking about it, um, what do you see in this photo?
Pure
What
love.
and what prompted you to do this? Take it. So I'm taking it. It really is a selfie, right?
It really is a selfie. I did it. Mm.
What prompted you to take the selfie?
I think, I really don't have a lot of pictures of her and I together. And so I was probably going through my photos and things and realized I don't have a lot of photos. I have a lot of her by herself and with our other animals and
Mm.
animals who've come along on our journey. But her and I together, there's not many. So I think it was just me wanting to be there with her. And
Well, and that felt spirit guided, where we have these ideas, like, oh, I think I will go do this, or oh, like that's
mhm,
spirit dropping in, and it's so important to receive the message and not be all like clogged up with our to do list. And I don't know if you see the comments that are coming in.
no.
Laura Roberts, a
Oh, thank you.
and oh my gosh, they're coming in fast.
Thank
Uh,
you all for your beautiful
oh,
comments. I
simple
appreciate that.
happiness, love, and contentment. Deanna says, "Angel on the shoulder."
Mm,
We
that's
see,
so funny, Angel on the shoulder. Remember I told you?
yes.
So a couple days after Marley passed, if you don't mind me
No,
sharing.
I think this is brilliant. This is Marley, like she's back here telling us what to say. So,
So a couple days after Marley's passing, I was sitting here and it was, I had the lights off. I was getting ready to go to sleep and I'm just hanging out here in my bedroom and all of a sudden I feel this pressure on my shoulder and I'm saying, geez, what is this pressure? What the heck is going on? So I try to swat it away. And then at that
no.
point, I'm like, oh no, it's Marley. She's trying to connect with me. And so that's the angel on the shoulder.
On the shoulder. That's another thing. We doubt ourselves, and then we swat it
Yeah.
away. And then, how fast we realize. Jennifer says Marley looks happy to be in this selfie with her mom. She
Thank you.
does. She
Thank
does. For everybody, and you all are so spot on. I feel. Don't they both look lit up with like a kind of angelic beauty? Can you see that? It's like, yeah, it's like an overlay. March says Marley is totally showing her love. Yep, glows. Thank you.
Mhm.
She glows. Yeah,
Thank
with
you.
you glow with yeah. See, everybody's seeing it. It's not just yeah. And
Mm.
Marley is like, of course I glow. Like
Mm.
I glowed all my life. Claire says a snapshot of love held for time and one which will always be a moment to relive. Joyce says connected. Yes. So everybody, while you're tuning in, um, can she look at this photo from now forward and be able to connect with Marley? Because do you feel connected to Marley when you're looking at this? Joan says Marley's energy seems like pure, unconditional, motherly love. So you're sharing that love connection with in the form of mother and child. And
Mhm.
does everybody feel that? Yes. It's one of those things that we need tools when we're grieving. We need tools to help us stay connected and feel that connection, because in day to day it can seem like we've lost it. So everybody, would you say this would be a good tool? And to your the question to you, Katina, is this a good one to drop back into to kind of like touch that space?
Of course.
And how old was she when?
This was about 2018. So she was probably 10 years old.
And what a powerful like energy and a staring directly. Like that's the other thing. She's
Mm,
always saying she looked directly at you. She looked directly, she was oh God, she's correcting me. She said she was a clear communicator.
she
And
was.
yes, and that's something that both of you share. And Martine, who's wonderful, she's had many, many experiences and very animal oriented. And the more, and Martine, I think, as you have shared, she has all kinds of signs and connections that have opened her up even more. So for you, and at this point in your journey, she's passed. Do you feel like you've opened up more, or do you feel like you've shut down more? What has started to interest you?
I feel like I have shut down, hmm at certain,
Yeah, but what's drawn
especially in the
her?
beginning, especially in the beginning.
Mhm.
But now I'm starting to open up again, and now I can finally talk about her and not break down. If you saw me maybe a month ago, if we had this conversation, we probably wouldn't be getting far in the live right now. But like
you
I
know,
said, one day at a time, one day at
it's
a
a
time.
journey, and have didn't you always didn't you also tell me that you were really desiring to understand more on a spiritual level, like you're
Yeah.
getting interested in things?
Yes, I did.
That is another sign that she's working with you. And for everybody who's lost an animal, pay attention to what you're being drawn to. I've had people who all of a sudden get interested in animal communication, and
Mhm.
they really just can't get enough of the understanding of it. Well, that's the next part of your soul path that they're helping you with. I had somebody who lost his favorite dog, his soul dog, and had never felt love like that before. And all of a sudden, afterwards, was very drawn to learn Reiki and had this undeniable sense to. I think I want to work with hospice animals and use Reiki. That wasn't there before. That is that continuing connection growing forward. And Adrian says, I lost my willow just under 2 months, and I still feel very devastated and trying to work through the grieving process. Oh, your videos have been helpful, and thanks for sharing your story,
Mhm.
Katina. You know,
Adrian.
we walk on the same path. All of us walk on the same path. We all integrate it differently, but basically we all know and have experienced deep loss. And with an animal, it can even be more profound. And so, what would you say to Adrian, Katina? How can we, like, what would you say to her? None, she's
First
just
of all, Adrian, I'd like to tell you I'm so sorry for your loss. It is
I'm
very
sorry.
sad. I'm very sorry for your loss. And all you can do, Adrian, all I can do from my experience now is just one day at a time, as I tell you. And I know it sounds cliche, but really, truthfully, that's how I got through. I mean, how I am getting through. I don't think it will ever leave me. Marley will never leave me, and her memory will always be with me. And somehow I'm through the spirituality that you brought up. I'm trying to find different ways, and I'm trying to find ways now to connect with her on a spiritual level.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so that's really where what I'm geared toward now. And maybe, like you said about the other gentleman, how he would like to help maybe with Reiki or,
Mhm.
senior pets, hospice pets. I
Mhm.
think that might be something I'm interested in. So I'm trying to find my purpose
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
and bring her along with me on the
Well,
journey.
that's so beautifully said. They do guide us, and um, you know, Adrian, if you go back through the life you had with Willow, even the name, jot down, things like, oh, this is what I learned from you, or this is a gift you shared. That keeps that thread. You keep being aware of it. I think helps make you aware when we start writing things down and connecting with them on that level. And so, I so appreciate you coming on and sharing Marley with us. She's very proud that you did it, by the way. She was like, Good, because I do feel like Marley's story really is. It's just such a like a woven tapestry with these golden threads that are woven together, and you share that with us. So thank you very very much. And
Thank
you
you
know,
very much for everything you do as
oh, and
it
you
was
know,
through you really that I am starting to heal, through this journey with Marley and her passing.
you know,
So,
I think I serve as a bridge, and I'm grateful and honored
oh,
to be able to
we
do
didn't
so.
say the bridge story. Should we say that real
Well,
fast?
I think we're out of time.
We're at time. Okay.
However, if you join the my private group, the Rainbow Bridge Conversations, we would absolutely love for you to share that story.
Perfect. Perfect.
Absolutely
Thank you
wonderful.
very much for your time.
Oh, thank you, everybody, and I will
Okay.
see you hopefully May 28th. And have a great week. Bye.